Hello, I just wanted to show you another example of a zine as well as showing you another bookbinding technique. So this zine I created completely on the scanner and the photocopier at school. So I'm going to show you some of the techniques that I tried out and that you can try out as well. So I took this print, which is from the photographer Harley Ware, and I tried all these different techniques on the scanner. So the first technique is that I increase the exposure to 100%, so it kind of creates a much lighter image than the original image, and it picks up these brighter highlights, which is quite interesting. Another technique that I tried was glitching. So once your print is on the scanner, you can move it as the scanner scans, and it creates these quite interesting effects. So you can also try this in completely black and white mode, so it kind of creates this grey scale in your glitch, as well as colour, so it kind of starts picking up these colours that we think of when we think about glitch. So you can also do it with your print when it's really zoomed in. So this is really zoomed in, whereas this one is just the original print. So as you move it, your glitch will be less obvious or less extreme, which can be quite nice. So another technique I tried was zooming in on my image. So this is 400%. I quite liked this 400% as it picks up the graininess of the original image and has created quite interesting prints. It also abstracts your print, so when you're looking at it, you're not too sure of what it actually was or is. And this is really interesting when you look at it in the texture of the water. So it creates almost like marbled pages. I also created these pages and then put the paper back into the printer, so that I have double-sided prints, which will work well when I come to make my book. So for this bookbinding, I'm going to show you a bookbinding technique that doesn't require the pages to be folded, so you can have these flat sheets like this. So once you have all your pages together and bulldogged, then we're ready to bind. Okay, so this binding that I'm going to show you is called a Japanese binding. So you can see that it's quite a decorative edge, so the thread actually goes all the way over the spine. This type of binding doesn't require the pages to be folded. You can create it with a folded page, but you will lose out on the area that is bound off. So I have created for mine a piercing along the edge, which is centimetres apart. So you can go as far in as you like, but I've gone quite close to the edge. So for this binding, I'm going to use this bright orange wax cord. So this is a bookbinding thread. I've just decided to use this because this orange contrasts really well against my black and white imagery. So the first step, if you've got quite a lot of pages like me, it is quite a good idea to, when you're piercing with your awl, to pierce one side and then go back and pierce the other. This will just help you when you come to thread your needle through. If you feel like your book is a bit messy because you have pages that are bigger than the other, then that's fine. At the end, you can just trim those off. So the first step is to go through your second hole. So I'm going from back to front. Okay, and then you go over your spine and back through the same hole. Like that. Okay, and then you take your needle and you go through the next empty hole and repeat the same thing. So I'm going back over and into the same hole. make sure that you don't begin to knot your thread when you go through with your needle. Okay, and then, so we've started to create that, and then with this one you have to go through your next empty hole but on the reverse side, so from back to front again. Make sure your thread doesn't catch around the side, and then just carry on doing the same technique, so over and through. Then to your next empty hole, and then just repeat this until the end. Okay, so when you get to the last hole, what you do now is you do the same thing, so you go over your spine and back through the first hole. Okay, and then you would come around the edge and then go through the same hole again, so you're getting that corner bound off. Like that. And then we're going to work back the opposite way, filling in these gaps. So with my thread, I'm going to go back through and fill in that dash. Okay, but I've already gone over the spine along all the way, so you're literally just going through and creating your dash technique to fill in these areas. Yep, so just repeat that all the way down the edge. Okay, so when you get to the other end, you would repeat the same technique as we did on the other side. So you would go round the edge and then over the spine. Okay, and then that is your finished binding. So you would just knot your edges together to secure them and then trim off the excess. And then that is your finished book. So you can see the binding detail down the side. One way to make this a bit neater is to make sure that your tension all the way along stays the same. So I've got a few loose threads here which, when they bend upwards, messes up my straight line. So just make sure that is one thing that you can keep an eye on as you go. Okay, so then this is the finished book, and you can see as it folds out, it does cut off some of the image, so you should be aware of that when you come to designing your own. Another thing about this type of binding, which is different to the other types that I've shown you, is that you won't see it within the centre of your book. So like our other ones, in the centre of the book you're able to see the binding. This book you won't see it all the way through. Okay. So that's just an easy and exciting way to create a book out of one print. So really pushing your prints to create the most work, and that's a nice way of displaying it.